what we have here is an Iroquois village. It's on both sides of this Bathurst Street here. Possibly goes under the road. We'll find out soon enough. On the west side, we have at least one house there. It looks fairly short, and it may or may not be overlapping with a second long house that extends to the east. The pottery we found at this site is pretty consistent to dating for the 1350 to 1400 period. We're able to establish that on the basis of stylistic changes that do occur, and we've had quite a number of radiocarbon dating off other sites of this particular time period. So we're fairly secure that this site, based on the designs we're seeing in the decoration on the pottery, dates to 1350 to 1400. We term that period Middle Iroquoian. It's roughly a 50 to 75 year period.
The Huron-Wendat occupied the North Shore of Lake Ontario between about 1300 AD and roughly 1580 to 1600 AD, and it had a series of sites that were sequential villages or communities that were occupied for about 20 years each. And those sequences of communities are on every major drainage along the North Shore between, let's say, the Humber River and almost all the way to Oshawa. So this particular group is one that we're interested in following, and the site is relatively early, 14th century. Normally up at that kind of northern region, they're a little bit later. They're usually around 1500. In being earlier, the population of the site would also be much smaller than the later villages. Some of your readers or viewers, for that matter, would have heard about the Mantle site, which was the subject of a large film that History Television did called Kirsty Acts. And that site dates to 1500 AD, and this site dates a full 200 years or more earlier. So it's a very interesting opportunity to look at the archaeological signature of the people who were living in this area 200 years before Mantle, and how life changes for them. A couple of weeks ago, that the Huron and the University of Toronto managed to come to an agreement and repatriate literally 1,700 sets of skeletal remains, which had been excavated over the last, let's say, 50, 60 years, or about 50, 60 years ago, not so much in recent years because practice had changed substantially, as had legislation around cemetery excavation. But this community we're investigating on Bathurst Street is related to those people. It's one of the communities that was occupied at the same time as some of the cemeteries that were investigated 40, 50 years ago that contributed to those people that were repatriated. All of this is linked. It's all part of the same history.